Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? We're live, Glass.
Hey man, I ain't got control over nothing. Y'all
I know
telling
it's
me.
hard, man, but only thing I can say is good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. I can, if I was a lip reader, I'd be a great person, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what we say about this technology all the time? It always seems to happen. I see we got Byron Glass and AF Riggins. Byron Glass a little frustrated, but you know what? One thing I know about the people that I got on this show, they can carry on without me. So I'm gonna work in the background for just a little bit, and I'm gonna give y'all 2 thumbs up for being patient with me. Being patient with me. And I know, Byron, I hear it when I get on, okay? I'll
Oh
let you
no,
get at me when I get on, all right?
Mr. Spikes.
Now it's
I'm
on
not.
you two guys. I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to get
I'm.
my sound up so I can hear some of this stuff y'all talking out there. But
Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry.
I think AF agree with me. Neither one of us are mad or upset. It's just so much going on, man, and we just anxious and ready to get in. What you say about it, AF?
Yes, sir. Let's go with it, Baron Glass.
Well, Mr. Spikes,
I,
I'm gonna let
I
you
thought
take the.
I took up the ante because you usually have on a bow tie and everything. So I put on my tie tonight. Then you came without a tie.
Hey man, you know
I
today
tried to
we
look
were
like
it was a holiday for us here in the great state of Louisiana, man. So I'm just relaxing, unwinding. I just made it in probably about 15 minutes ago. I wanted to get in and make sure that Ron had everything set up, but sometimes technology fails us, and that's what we need to be aware of. That this stuff is not absolute; it's not 100%. Pastor Riggins, tonight's topic is one that Ron had chosen, and. But before we get into that, Riggins, I know it's about 7:32, and some of the country is wide awake and looking at the television. And this is the first time in my lifetime, AF, that I'm really not excited about seeing anything that Washington D.C. has to say. I'm not interested in listening to the lies, the panel, and all that stuff. And I don't really want to waste too much time. Only thing I can say is this: if we ever needed to start praying, now's the time because we are in uncharted waters. We don't know what tomorrow may hold. We don't actually know what tonight may hold. So at the end of the day, we know that allies that we typically have had are basically saying maybe we need to consider this Russian asset. AF, I'm going to take it to you from a historical standpoint. I know you can take it a little bit deeper than what I can. Go ahead.
yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be on. And as Mr. Glass has said, at reference to this a numerous times since 2015, and now there is documented uh, writings out there that since 1987 um, that the current president has been, if you want to use that word, colluding with Russia. At the time, he thought about running as a Democrat and running against whoever was going to be the next Republican, which was George H.W. Bush. But then he reneged on that, and over that time period, it seemed like they polished him very well. You notice when he first became president, uh, and they were coming out with CIA and the FBI readings and his daily briefings, he would always uh, have a different spin or disagree. Is because he had been coached and taught from the perspective of what Russia was saying. Remember when he first became president and he fired Comey? He was involved with those Russians at that time in his Oval Office. And now, even in the process of the Mueller report, a lot was involved in that had to do with Russia. Uh, and now we're looking right at it. We're looking at it with the Ukraine situation. We look at it, he's trying to get Russia to become a partner of the United States and cut ties with people in NATO or put them in arm's length. Um, He's an asset, I believe. Bring it back to home. It's affecting us because the way the Russians rule is through oligarchs. And oligarchs are rich people, have a lot of money, upper class. They control the markets, they control the media, they control the economy. And then there are people, middle class, who barely make it. And then masses of people in Russia are suffering financially. And if he could have it his way, America would be top heavy with about 5% of Americans controlling all the money. And then that big, large percentage of middle Americans, we will be struggling, just breaking even. But if they use that to keep us in our place, so to speak, through classism and racism, and then there will be a poverty that will be so deep until it will crash the economy. And then because the economy has crashed, then those rich people can control what's going on. And this is what they're headed toward. I mean, you heard the speech of Trudeau today from Canada. Basically say to the Americans, we're with you, but look what you have chosen. And now we got to have a fight on our hands. If we could find two Republicans, as Jamie Raskin said, two Republicans in the House that can vote on our side to impeach him, I believe. Because see, you have what you call him that's going to run again from Kentucky, McConnell. He's not going to run again.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we could find enough of senators, but then for him to leave and J.D. Vance to take over. But we already seen that J.D. Vance in the past have not spoken so well of him. He's been a lapdog, if I want to use that terminology now. But if he got into power, and he would go back, he would veer back to the left a little bit, to the middle. He'll be more like a standard Republican on a lot of things. But that's just my intro tonight. That's the history of it all, and we'll get more into it detail.
Mr. Spikes, go ahead on and tell us about the topic tonight, the subject matter, and let's kind of go it on and get a little discussion going.
I remember the subject matter, but if you allow me just a little bit to comment on what you and Pastor Riggins have been talking about, I appreciate it. I think that you can't have it both ways. You know, when I say that you can't have it both ways, what I'm saying in essence is you want to see the government act. You want to see the government act and do things. But when they act and you see it in your face versus behind closed doors, the thing that you begin to ask yourself, maybe I didn't want to see it. Maybe I wanted to see it behind closed doors. It's a lot. I think it's two sides to this tariffs thing. I think that if you look at it from a point of view where you're looking at it and you're saying, you know what, maybe we've been taken for all these years for what we allowed to come in our country at no tariffs, and maybe if we can get a little bit more, it would be all right. I know I'm not with the majority on this, and I know not everybody feels this way, but you have to look at both sides, and I think when we stop looking at both sides, we have a problem. And I still believe that that's one of the things that when you travel international, you see a lot of American goods out there, and they put a higher price on for American goods than they do in any other thing that's out there. So, oh man, no, I'm messing up, Glass. But anyway, tonight's subject is about food stamps, Section 8, and if I don't close out the show, we'll be all right. But anyway, yeah, it's about food stamp Section 8, and I know that that's where they're going to, and they're going to have to get there. And we might as well get ready for it, because they can, if they really want to enact it, it was a lot of things that they could have enacted to stop the program, could make it harder for people that's on it, and they would take away from the people that some people really need it. But even with Section 8 houses, I mean, it ain't going to be long before they get there. And I just want to get ahead of that curve, because we're trying to help people here. We're not trying to put people down. We're not trying to what's the word? We're not trying to put people on Main Street on blast. But you need to know that if they're going after everything else, that eventually they're going to get there. And when they get there, you need to be prepared for it. So, Glass, I got kind of an intro into it. I'm trying to go a few different ways at one time. I can't wait till I get settled down. But that's
Well,
where I'm at.
well, Ron, I think Riggins would agree with this, in its entirety. The guy is talking about, wasteful spending and fraud. And where else will you look at if you're talking about dismantling, all of those programs that are basically taking place? I've always believed this because from my historical standpoint, the federal government has always played a role with regards to the American Negro. They gave us civil rights. They gave us all of those rights that we typically did not have. So I've always believed that there is a place for the federal government. I think Riggins is on mute, but well, he's back off. I think he would agree with this because he's coming more from a historical standpoint. The federal government does play a role. It kind of at some point gives you the opportunity or gives you a start because if you look at black farmers, if you look at individuals who never had the opportunity to take some of these jobs that we basically occupied, for the last 50, 60, 70 years. So I do believe that there is a role for the federal government in our lives. I don't think it should be a handicap. I don't think it should be a crutch. AF, I'm going to yield to you and let you come in.
Barrett, I will agree with you. And the sad thing about it, at least 70% of MAGA are people who are uninformed. Remember, he said, I like the unintelligent, those who don't know. They the ones that need also. You see, the motive of Trump and is that on a blanket, on the surface, they're acting like people of color, African Americans, Hispanics, and others are the ones benefiting the most, like inner city Detroit, Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston. But in reality, people in the Appalachian Mountains, folk in
Say
trailer
it.
park,
Say it.
people in neighborhoods that are predominant low income Anglo Americans have the greatest percentage of Section 8 housing and food stamps and government assistance. And you pull a rug out from the bottom of the economy, the top gonna crash. And that's how we got to the Great Depression. So we're in dangerous waters, as Barrett opened up tonight. We're in dangerous water.
I think that we're in dangerous waters for everybody, and I agree with you, Pastor Riggins. But here is where they affect people, and I don't know if you've seen the poster that I used for this. I didn't use any of us because you're right. It's not going to affect us. Even back in the 1900s when it happened, it didn't affect us. But eventually it rolled to us, and what they told us, this was a detriment to the black family. I think when they took the men out of the household, they basically just gave them women and told them that they couldn't have any men in the household. You would hear about people hiding shoes and people coming to the house and Mr. Joe's shoes or clothes in the house. They cut off benefits from that. But I think that you destroyed part of a black family base while you was doing that at that time. So I can see it. I'm yielding. If anyone of y'all want to come in, you're welcome to. You know where I get at. So sometimes I have to be reeled in.
Well, Riggins, let me ask you this question because I'm not sure if and this is just an assumption. I hadn't concluded on this yet. Riggins, did the government actually take the man out of the house, or was it the lack of teaching and the lack of history that got us to where we are now? When in fact we knew that the two-parent household was the actual set that we needed to use to get us to where we need to be. So Pastor, did the government actually do that, or was that something that was we just fell away from it? What's your stance on it relative to Section 8 housing and individuals being able to lose their benefits if in fact the male was in the home?
Oh, it goes before Section 8 housing. It starts with slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you, myself, and Ron were on a plantation, and we fell in love with a woman. They wouldn't sanction the marriage. They let us jump over a broom.
Mm.
And you have 5 children. I have 6. Ron have 7. Now, all of a sudden, he'll say, "Hey, we're gonna sell Riggins off to another plantation. Maybe sell Ron to another plantation and keep Glad." Separated the family. And the new man at the new plantation, we don't know where we in love with our woman at the other plantation, but after 5, 6, 7 years, we don't know if we'll ever see her again, and we start having babies with a new woman. That mentality,
Mm-hmm.
that division. After we got free, so now you had, like for instance, you had people like with my my grandmother's great great grandfather, Jim Schenkel, got free with 400 acres of land in Schenkelville. Had the Schenkels, McBride, and Odoms all put together. Why? Because it's from 3 different backgrounds mixed together because of the way that they have the families having more than one. The daddy might have more than one babies from more than one woman. Okay. Fast forward, if the church, when the church was teaching about 2 men, church trying to get us to have a solid home, but when the church began to be the lack of the foundation in the 70s. If you notice this, the lack of the foundation in the 70s, up the
Mm.
home, slowly but surely. So now you had Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. Well, then Papa, he had 3 kids with the woman, and the woman can't survive without the government assistance. So now they put on Section 8 housing and food stamps. But they say, if you get an income in this house over a certain level, you're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Papa decides to move in and stay with you, you're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So Papa come down and sneak through there and give us some money through the back door, pay the bill, some light bills, give us some sugar daddy money, hang out with her, but he better not stay there and live there and develop a 2-house income or she's gonna lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
So so now what had to happen was not just the church, but the community leaders, if we develop more centers to teach them to listen, this is just a phase. A Section 8 housing is a phase. That if you could work together, build a family together, y'all can move out of Section 8 housing, small house, 2 bedrooms, and then move up to the next thing, get a 3 bedroom. You have to be a progression. But nobody taught them how to get out of the transition out of
Mm-hmm.
something that was supposed to be temporary, it becomes permanent. And so now you have the projects, the CUNY homes, everything like that in the neighborhood then begins to be filled with crime, gangs, just piling up on each compounding upon each other. That's how I look at the historical effect of it.
So
If I'm
Riggins,
wrong about it,
is it fair to say that uh, some of that role that was played was, I guess, part of the blame is on, I guess, us?
yes. I said whenever the church or the community did not really settle down to find a way to teach us how to build together, how the man and wife should work together, build together, especially in young kids,
Mm-hmm.
uh, how not to be competitive against each other. Because remember now, they just send it off to different plantations. Now it's one bull against another bull, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got the crabs in the bucket mentality. You know, uh, all of us have about 11 children with 3 or 4 different women, and then who's the top cat in the kid? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm just being who running game, who the pimp, who the one that could run the numbers, who the one that got control of the territory. That whole
Mm-hmm.
mentality was based out of a mentality that the slavery chain was never broken. People say, well, that's an
Mm-hmm.
excuse. No excuse. We had to get educated past that
Mm-hmm.
And so so then there was a time in the when the church was a foundation for the 19 maybe the 1920s to the 1960s. That's what how the church was able to build back with the Montgomery boycott, build with the situation of getting civil rights act of voter. That's how the SCLC was able to build from that. But once we got past the church being the foundation, then it was like, okay, you know, every man was kind of for himself, every little corner for himself,
Mm-hmm.
and we became part of the problem along with the government, I believe.
So, Mr. Spice, let me take that same question to you. Do you say that there's a role that and a blame that the race itself plays, or is it something that you feel that was just set up systematically, and that's where you kind of fall in it? What do you say, Mr. Spice?
I think that if we look at it as a whole, and yes, that was a problem back then, but here's the problem today. I think that you have to add the act in which it happens today. Back then, a lot of situations gave precedence for what was going on at that time. But today, you see young girls. They got one, two, three, four, sometimes four different kids by four different guys, and they getting some assistance from those one of those two, maybe two or three of those guys, and then they get Section 8 housing, and they're not trying to find a job. They're not getting out of there going to get a job. And I realized that daycare is just as expensive as some hours on the job, but you got to be able to do something. I think that when you roll that back to modern day times and you see what's going on in Section 8 housing, and you look at people they're, they're living, some of them are living better than us. Some of them got podcasts like I do, like we have here. They have a podcast where they call themselves influencers, and they pay pretty good money, but they ain't paying their fair share of rent or nothing like that. It's just those kind of things have to all be evaluated into it too. But but the first thing I would say is if they came in and they only use one or two of them as an example of what's going on today, that'll give them justification to hurt people that actually need it. Maybe their husband died or something like that, and they were part of a good family, and now they're trying to struggle to raise those kids on their own. Those people need that assistance. Some of the people that's out there don't need it. I know
Well,
I'm not the one to say that they need it, but
well,
I
I think Ron, just let me kind of clear. I know what you're saying, but I think when people, this is not in reference to you, is because I'm speaking in general.
oh
I
I
have
don't take
noticed
offense to
that.
nothing.
Yeah, I have noticed that the vast majority of people that's speaking have no idea what the individual struggle is that's receiving Section 8 vouchers or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Here's my point. I know three people that's coming to my head right now that I deal with personally, dealt with personally within the last 2 weeks, that have gone out to find a job, that have gone out to try to do better for themselves, that have done everything that they could do to try to get a job. But guess what? Because they are on Section 8, they are looked down on, and the people that they're going to look for a job won't give them a chance. So I think, again, not relative to you, I just think people need to get outside of the box to really get to understand what's exactly involved when it comes to Section 8. I'll use people, older ladies that I knew when I was growing up, that
Mm-hmm.
probably had Section 8. Probably, no, not probably. They were great examples for their kids. They did the very best job that they could do raising their kids, and the majority of them are off now successful. But
Mm-hmm.
Section 8 was the only thing, the only tool that was available for them. And could they have done better? They would have. So, and I'm not saying this is what Two Gents is doing, but I think it can always be looked at. I think it can always be evaluated. But I'm not convinced that the majority of people on Section 8 want to be on Section 8. I think some of them, and the vast majority of them, are actually looking to try to be better or do better, because Section 8 really don't give you the life that people think it does. I don't have a problem if my tax dollar is going to a mother like mine and she wanted to go out on a Friday night and buy a steak for her family. I don't have a problem with that. So I think people get convoluted with their lifestyle and try to judge somebody else's lifestyle. And again, I'm not saying that relative to two gents, us tonight. I just want to put that out there, that I don't think we're being critical and analyzing everybody that's on there. I think what we're saying is, I'll let you guys speak for yourself, that should it be looked at? Yes. But like AF said earlier, the vast majority of them that's on there, it's not us.
And I'll add to this. Redlining is when you go into neighborhoods that were predominantly African American, investors go in, buy up the property, remodel, reconstruct, send the prices up real high, where a low income or middle class person be hard to be able to find property or housing or buy a house in that neighborhood. So then that person is pushed out into having to have Section 8 or some type of low income assistance through HUD, because of the fact that where they should have been staying has now been redlined. And that's not a problem.
Yeah, and we know that redlining, and you know, Riggins, I'm gonna go. You know, people can try to denounce and say it ain't so, and all this, that, and other. And those that's for those who I call fools, because they won't get outside of their context, outside of their norm, to really understand that if me, you, and Ron are telling somebody that this has happened to us or somebody that we know, why would you just be creating something out of thin air? If we're saying that it exists one time. To me, Pastor Riggins, it's too many. So people may say, I was looking at Roland Martin last night, talking to this other guy. The guy said, well, that's 1 out of 1,000. Well, that one might have been my cousin. That one might have been my family member. So one is just as many. One is too much for me. Ron, I'll yield to you.
I think that one is too much, because you never know the situation. And as you pointed out about going out one night a week to have steaks, and then all of a sudden somebody taking a picture of them, and it's probably a neighbor, to be honest with you, because we do that kind of stuff. We don't have enough business of our own, of our own. So you go out, you might buy your kids Jack in the Box one night. So you come home, you walking up the stairs, and they out there taking pictures of you because they don't like you, or something like that. So so then you take that and you run with it. But then you don't, when they start coming back and they do you the same way, because it happened to them. Somebody figured out that that's how to get somebody out, because they know that you're the nosy neighbor that got the other person out, and it happens to you. Then you want to complain. See, then we want to complain. But if we don't talk about it, if we don't get out there and we don't do the things that we're doing here, we're no better than what they're doing over there. We're part of the problem. We have to talk about these hard things. We have to give people an opportunity to say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't sell my food stamps this time, because if that person get caught, I get cut off. Now the person that got caught gets a felony offense and they go to jail. They got to get a lawyer. And when they get a lawyer, that's something that's on their record. Yeah, they can fight it, but why take money out of the household? I feel the same way about driving down the street speeding. I know the speed limit. If I get a ticket, that's just free money. We have to look at all things and consider. Pastor Riggins, I don't want to get too far in this, but that was just something that I got from Glass. So,
well, but Ron, I think you're making valid points, and that's what we're talking about. To inform and enlighten, and I'll agree with you 100% that yes, these are things that we must talk about. Uncomfortable truths is what we need to become, accustomed to, because you continue to be lied to, you continue to be told a lie, you continue to believe a lie, at the end of the day, when the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, AF, John now join us, Ron, for the first time, uh, there is, and Riggins, I'll go to you and then we'll go take it to John. Riggins, for the first time, I bet in your adult life, there is a long list of uncertainties as to what tomorrow may bring, more so than it has ever been. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. We're in uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm.
When Trump got elected the first time, he said, "I don't have to listen to the Constitution. I'm rich." But
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have the handles. He didn't have the connections. He didn't have the uh, where to or how to avoid or how to get around or how to try to do things above or without the Constitution. His first act was to try to get Mike Pence not to certify the election. That
Mm-hmm.
failed. But when Biden allowed the Attorney General to drag his feet, because the first person they should have prosecuted was Trump, not 1,500 people. If I have a snake at my front door, I'm not cutting off the tail, I'm cutting off the head. When he allowed him to go that far into the situation without prosecuting him, and they got him on a state deal of 37 felonies, and he comes back in the door with the Heritage Foundation as his foundation, and Elon Musk as he's the front man for Elon Musk now. He came back in with a vengeance, and now we're in uncharted territory because we're looking at fighting through the Supreme Court like everything he does, even if he's breaking the law or trying to circumvent a law on paper, to fight through the Supreme Court through all this while he's fighting through it, and judges trying to do injunctions and everything. People's lives are uncertain. Like those people get hot, fired one day, hired the next day, fired again the next day, hired the next day. All that crazy stuff. Will we have tariffs? Not have tariffs. Will we have this program? Not have this program. For instance, people dying with measles in Texas now. And do you know with Robert Kennedy Jr. up in that situation, talking about no vaccination, people dying don't have vaccinations. And now they say we don't even know if we're going to have a vaccination for flu season next year. They've sent out a memo they're not going to meet on putting together the vaccinations right now. Why? Because they're coming in trying to tear up everything that they have an ideal about that they want to tear out, and people's lives. 300 million Americans. So 1 in 1,000. Put that in 300 million people. 1 in 1,000 do count when you start extrapolating out to 300 million people. That makes sense what I just said?
Yeah, it does. Hey, John, I know glass away from me, but if you want to comment on what's going on, you're welcome to go ahead and make a comment.
No, I'm just jumping in to see where I was, where you
Okay.
guys are on the conversation.
Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was just, I don't know if anybody's touched on it or not, but this Section 8 thing has always been kind of a stigma or
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a ball and chain around uh, blacks, necks
Mm-hmm.
throughout its whole inception since I think believe it was 1974 is when it came to pass.
Okay.
Um, and it's people don't think that when you hear about Section 8, you only think about, hey, it's only about people from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's it's farthest from the truth about its 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 whole
Yes.
being. Uh, it's true that about 27% of blacks are in Section 8 housing, but there's 24% whites in it.
Yeah.
Um, oddly enough, whites nor blacks are the largest majority even utilizing Section 8. It's people of, I think it's Hawaiian and island uh,
Mm-hmm.
descent. They're about 33% of Section 8.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would have ever figured that unless you try to look up the number. Because we as blacks get stuck with the, hey, you're just a Section 8 hood rat.
Yeah.
And that's one
And,
of the
and,
things
Hey,
that
and
I'd
but
like to
John,
dispel.
John, the average you saying though, when you do the math, you have 24% of African Americans there and 24% of Anglo Americans there. by the sheer numbers of Anglo Americans, it makes more of them on it.
True.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
24% of Americans is a lot more than 27% of African Americans based on the population numbers. And
Right.
so they benefit more in the actual real count than us. But because we have 3% more, and like you say, even the Hawaiians, but 33% are on there, but they're less in number than even African Americans.
Right. That's a larger percentage. And when I say there, these numbers are actually a percentage of that particular race. It's just not the
Mm-hmm.
total people in it. It's 24% blacks. I mean, 27% of blacks are on Section 8. Uh,
Right.
24% of whites are on Section 8. So, as you stated already, that number 24 is less than 27, but because whites outnumber blacks, that's totally just more whites that are actually on Section 8 by the raw numbers. So,
Yeah.
but we get the stigma of it's a black thing, it's a
So,
hood thing.
so John, let me ask you this. Uh, let's say that, let's say 60%, which is a throwed out number, is on Section 8, happen to be black.
Okay.
What if we were given a half of our 40 acres in a mule, a third of our 40 acres in a mule? Would that problem still exist? So when we talk about all this stuff, there's always a cause and effect, Pastor Riggins. There's always a beginning and an ending. There's always what you call a procuring cause, something that sets everything else in motion. So if the due that was just was given, the question is, would we even be talking about all this? Because we know back when individuals that look like us had their own land, they were farming, they were raising their own crop, they were eating healthy, they were doing everything that they could do. So, Riggins, I want to take this to you, then run. If we had gotten not even the full 40 acres, let's say we got 10 acres. Riggins, what could you do with 10 acres right now with your horses and everything else that you got? So this is a hypothetical. I'm throwing this out there simply to validate that even though this problem exists, my question is, why did it exist, and what has been done to eliminate it?
Yes, sir. My parents grew up. I grew up in Louisiana on the border. My dad had 1 acre of land. On that 1 acre land, we had sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, corn, okra, Kentucky wild beans. We had rabbits, chickens, hogs. We could live off that land on 1 acre with a family of 7. What if we had 10 acres? You can at least have a couple of cows, 3 cows, have a horse or so. You're right. And that way you're more self-sufficient. And more self-sufficient if we had our own. And you're right. So when they did not give us what we should what we earned, what we earned, we built America. America was built on the backs of free labor.
Right.
America was built on the backs of free labor, not just in the South, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, eventually they did what you know in the North where you had servitude and you had apprenticeship, but the foundation of all was in the back. The White House. I mean, anything you saw that worked, anything, even the railroad was built on the back of the Asians, the Chinese. They were out there looking for gold, couldn't find the gold, and made them. They were called diggers, while we would call the N word. They both rhyme. Let me say it again. They were called diggers, while we would call the N word. They both rhyme.
Mr.
The
Spikes?
America was built on the back of other people, and then we don't get what's ours, and now, so subsidized. They're like black farmers. Black farmers have to be subsidized, and they don't want to give us the subsidies that they give
Right.
other people.
Right. So the deck is still stacked. Come on, Ron.
You know what, Glass? I'm gonna go a little bit different than where you at, but I'm gonna go back a little bit further in history, and I'm gonna take y'all on this journey. You know, when I showed up to America, I wasn't farming. When I showed up to America, I came in here to take what you had. When I landed in Plymouth Rock, I knew that you didn't have guns and I had guns, but I couldn't survive the winter without a farmer. I needed somebody to show me how to survive in this foreign land. And it just so happened that those people that were surviving, they wasn't surviving off the food that they brought all the way from England. Well, Spaniard or Spanish or Italy or Spain, because it was Columbus, but they didn't survive off their food when they got here. I hate to say it, like my godmother said, they they were hungry. They wanted something to eat. The people here already had food. They had their own gardens, but they came up out of their gardens and gave it to them. And my point being is that when they gave away, when they didn't have the guns, when they didn't have the mirrors to look at themselves, they looked down on them people. But they needed them. So instead of befriending them, they wanted to conquer them. Then they wanted to take them and make them work for them. And then go back to sell back out of here and come back with more. And then they get here and again, they coming back to conquer. And I'm going somewhere with this. Because, Glass, that just goes to show you that if we would have had 40 acres in the mule, if we would have had more than 1 acre, like Pastor Riggins was saying, look what we could have did with it. Look what we could have did with it. We didn't need guns. We didn't need trinkets. We didn't need none of that. But we could feed ourselves in the snow. We could feed ourselves in the winter. We could feed ourselves when they were over there starving. But they took a good Samaritan act and took advantage of it. And I'm going to have to leave that there because I want to go somewhere else, but I got to stay there. But Glass, to answer your question, yeah, we would have been way ahead with 40 acres in the middle.
And John, again, I only brought that up because I try to look at stuff from a logical standpoint. Okay, if there's the effect, and we know what that is, I want to deal with the cause, because until you can identify what the cause, the effect is still going to be there. And again, I don't think that Section 8 should be used as a crutch. But I know many people that use it and they never use it as a crutch. I know some people that use it from all walks of life, whatever color. If they can use it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, they will. So I don't want it to be, uninformed or misinformed that, what we're talking about is denouncing people that's on it. There are some people that actually need it. And from my belief, my personal belief, I think that the government should play a role in certain things in our lives. John, I'll take it to you.
I agree. And absolutely, it was kind of created for people that were of lesser income and even elderly people and people with disabilities who actually couldn't afford housing in the normal system. I have one, and this is more like of a question. How many of you see it as something of a trap door that can lead to a dead end of just being reliant on government subsidy? I say that because Section 8 is a renters. It's, somebody has property, home or whatever. They're renting to somebody of lesser income. The government is subsidizing them part of what that, landlord is going to charge. The renter pays a fraction of whatever. They can never get from under it because the way they have to qualify is that you have to basically release all the information about all the money you get. There's no hiding if you've got stock somewhere. You're not going to be able to hide them. They're there. The government can say, hey, wait a minute, you have $5,000 of stocks. Why are you looking to be on Section 8 housing? So they're going to use that against you, and you may not qualify. Even if you did qualify, it's almost like a dead-end trap of, can you get out of it? And that's kind of like a question I have. Can you get out of it?
John. Oh.
No,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Rick.
Anybody.
Yeah. Hey, John, what you're saying
Hmm.
is true. Let me explain it to you. Let's say I'm in Section 8 housing now in March, and I find a good job.
Hmm.
And that job is going to pay me enough, but I need to wait about 90 days to get enough from that job's income to get into my own housing, apartment or whatever, or warehouse. The moment I have to report that I'm making more money, I'm gonna be kicked out of Section 8 housing
There you go.
before I can get my own situation. There
Before
Mm-hmm.
has to
you,
be, I believe. Now,
yeah,
I know we can say woulda, shoulda, and personally, we might have a whole show about how I believe I believe the election was stolen. I believe that uh, the Vice President Harris had a plan for that, a
she did.
transitional plan. She had a transitional plan. See, let me tell you what. Everything in government is not black and white. Everything is not either or rich or poor.
Mhm.
They try to make it like that to control. There is a way that you could have somebody who has a transition that for the next 90 days, you might be making more money, but we're gonna let you stay in this while you come to the level of being a gal young. It's not rocket science to do it. But people use whatever they have in place to try to control people. So you either gonna be in Section 8 housing and they're gonna say, you're down and out, you're poor, you living out the government, you're a sucker, you this, you that, and the other, or they're gonna say, oh, you make this money, get out of here now. And and
But
and,
that's
and,
the
and,
question.
and you know,
Do they give you that that stopgap time to be able to substantiate you to be able to get out on your own now? I don't know. I mean, it's again, it's a question. You're right. Ideally, that's how it should work. That's how you would literally guarantee people, hey, I'm doing better. I'm making more money. I could afford to get a house or whatever, qualify for something. Great. But as soon as the government finds out that you are now making that money, maybe you have 30 days to get gone. That's not going to get it. We know that's not going to get it. So,
So, so Riggins, uh, you take. Uh, let's talk about this single household that Ron alluded to earlier. You take this young man named A.F. Riggins,
I'm with you.
Ron Spikes,
I got to
John
put
T,
myself on mute.
who grew up in a home where he really wanted his dad, but for some reason, dad wasn't in the home. He's a good kid.
Hmm.
This good kid starts to go into school and starts to maybe sleeping in the
There are other people
classroom
that are
or
just
having
not with
disciplinary
video.
issues. John, you're not on mute. You know, start having issues at school, and all of a sudden, this kid get kicks out at 16 or 17. Not no fault of his own. Okay, really wants to go out and do whatever it is that he can do because he knows that he's got to be a breadwinner in somebody's house. So is Section 8 not a good program for this individual kid that's trying to do? Not saying that he wants to be there for a long period of time, just a start, just a, not a handout, but a lift up. So again, there is a place for Section 8 for those who need it, those who deserve it, and whatever they choose to do in that time period. I don't have a problem with my tax dollar going to that individual no more than I have a problem with money going to countries that ain't did nothing for us, that's not
Mm.
doing nothing for us. Russia, for a prime example.
hey, what you're saying is right, Baron. In other words, if this guy can go out, maybe start working for the city, not disparaging any jobs, but the type of income,
Mm-hmm.
working for the city parks, or maybe waste management, or working a income that's maybe minimum wage, but get Section 8 housing in the process until he can make more money.
Correct.
That's more ethical and more organized than this guy saying that I've got to go now and get illegal money swinging in
Mm-hmm.
the street.
Mm-hmm.
See, in other words, because he has to make a choice. Can I be allowed to have Section 8 housing or temporary that I can pull myself up by the bootstraps, or do I need to be having the duckies coming in and the money and the Benjamins coming in by me slinging in the streets? And
Right.
now I become part of the crime system, and now I'm really now I got a felony, and now I'm costing the government, I'm costing the community more money because now I'm in and out in and out the front door to jail, out the back door to jail. I'm
Right.
causing problems. See, right. So the whole system is jacked up.
I see Ron getting amped up over there. Come on in, Ron. Tell me
Not
what you
really,
think.
not really. I think that Pastor Riggins made a good point. I think that John's question was on point, and I think your response was on point too. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem, as we say, it being used in a transitional period. You have that opportunity to do that. I don't. And if we're taking away, if we're saying we're gonna take it away because now you got a job, it's gonna take you 2 or 3 months to even recoup that because you're still paying your portion of Section 8. You're still trying to maintain your little household till you can get enough money to get out of there. And I don't think that when we look at Section 8, that we look at it from a perspective of somebody being in an apartment or something like that. Because you also have the opportunity to live in houses. They have houses within neighborhoods where they rent out. There's some black people that rent houses to Section 8 holders. So, it is a two-way sword. But I think that if it's used in the right way, in which you all three of y'all have explained, if it's used in the right way, I don't have nothing to say about it. But if you're using it just to live off of for the rest of your life and don't have any ambitions and it catches up to you, I don't feel sorry for you.
Would you rather them be Section 8 or homeless?
I would rather them be Section 8. Now, now that we're talking about this, and I think back, this triggered something, and I can now identify with it.
Hmm.
I got discharged out of the military in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was on this, temporary TDRL, they call it, but you don't know when that day's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you're in the military could be your last day. So you're doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden, boom, hey, you've been discharged. You do your paperwork. Within 30 days, you're good, you're gone. If you got nowhere to live, oh
You're on
well,
the streets.
you're out here.
Mm-hmm.
That was what predicated me coming back home. I had nowhere to live because I told my mom, I said, I'm out of here. I won't come back to your house. It wasn't an ugly thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you raised us to be on our own. I'm out of here. Thank you. It was all that I could take to come back and temporarily be at my mom's house after that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was 20 something, but I mean, like 22, I think. But still, I actually tried to get Section 8 housing. And do you know, the only money that I was actually getting at the time was my then military disability. It wasn't hadn't even gone to the VA yet. It was military disability. So I literally had no other income. I didn't have a job. I was only home for like 40 days. Still looking. Do you know the income that I was making? Well, not making, that I was getting. The government decided, well, you don't qualify because of the money you made the previous year while you were in the service. Now, make me go figure out how that makes sense. Past money that I've made, that I no longer had that job, that was what they were basing on my eligibility. I think that was nuts, and it
Wow.
just doesn't make sense. So that's how I got disqualified for it. Make that kind of make a lot of sense. And that's
Wait a
not
minute,
even
John.
being
And
able to
Glass, I
get
know
it.
you're gonna jump in there, but John, you mean to tell me you ain't get that big military bonus that everybody think that you get, that you walk out the door with? I know you walked out of there with about $20,000 in your hand.
When you get out on disability, it don't work that way.
I
No,
know that, John. That's the
I know
reason
you
why.
do. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I need to, because that was a rumor that I heard. When y'all get out of the military, y'all come out with all this money, and y'all have the ability to do this and that. That's not the truth. I don't know who started that rumor. It must have been somebody that never went in the military and got out.
I
Because
had
I know
friends
when
that
I
thought
got
that.
out, I had them BDUs I had bought on my back, and them boots I was wearing. And when I drove through that gate for the last time, because they had took my ID card, I want to go back in. I want to go back in. 3 hots in a cot, Glass. 3 hots in a cot. I'll take it any day.
I couldn't go back in. I wanted to.
So AF, let me ask you this, and just follow. All right, Ron, I want you to jump in and jump. I think we get sometimes caught up in something that we need to look broader. Rick, Section 8 housing is a subsidy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference between a Section 8 subsidy for whatever individual versus a farmer getting a subsidy that's farming all of his life, may be doing whatever it is he's doing? Nobody's talking about that.
It's the perception.
Which is exactly, and we buy into the perception versus what the reality is what I'm getting.
Yes, sir. You have
Can I add to that?
Hold on, let Riggins jump in. Then he's coming to you.
You have Anglo-American farm out there in Iowa, has 100 or 200 acres of land. He's doing corn, but he can't sell all the corn. The corn half of it might go rotten, half of it can't get off the field, but he has to feed his family. The government comes in and says, listen, if you can get a quarter of this corn out to us this year, we're going to take this other 75% and pay you on the back end for you to do it again next year. He's driving a tractor. He got somebody driving a tractor. He has people working for him. He pay the people. So it looks like he's doing something to get the subsidy. Whereas here's a woman with 5 kids, about 2 or 3 different men, they think she's not doing anything to deserve the subsidy. And that farmer might be getting $200,000 for the year or $300,000 for the year. Her subsidy might only add up to $75,000 for the year. But it looks like perceived to people that she's getting over on the government and the farmer is not.
And ain't nobody talking about the $80,000 vehicle truck, doula truck with all this other. Ain't nobody talking about that. But if the Section 8 person go out and buy them a nice steak on a Friday night, we got a problem with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now that is the pros and cons of it. But I'll tell you this, Glass. I remember as a child driving down I-10 to go to East Texas, just on this side of the border, because somewhere the Shackles are somehow related to us. I'll be honest with you, Pastor Riggins. But
Spike, we got Spike up in Shackleville.
I know.
Cousin Spike in Shackleville. Yeah.
I know. That's the reason why I brought it up. But
we can.
Because I heard my grandmother, my grandmother was in Shackleville. But to get back to the point I was trying to make, anytime that you drive down I-10 to go up there, you used to see airplanes flying over fertilizing fields on the left and the right and everything. It ain't no fields. It's no farmland being farmed like it used to. We're talking about stuff in Canada. We're getting 90. What did the guy say today? 80 to 90% of our produce coming from Canada and up through Mexico. We ain't farming nothing no more. What's going on with our farmers? Well, since we brought that up, we as we talk, we gravitate. But you're right. That big pickup truck, it's stinking clean going down the road. It's pulling up to every restaurant in the little town. They know him as Mr. Joe, Mr. So and so. But he don't tell you that he's getting subsidized.
Oh, some of them.
He don't tell you that he's getting subsidized. His boots are shine. He ain't never seen the field.
Just that
I'm sorry, I digress. I digress.
That very thing, because I ended up coming back and going to college. Glass, this is how I met, as I call him, G Money in the day. I had a class with a guy, a young white guy, wore the jeans, the, farming looking shirt and big belt buckle, the whole big cowboy boots. Pops in class one day.
Starch too, right? Starch jeans, not wrinkled jeans.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I don't know how it came, had a conversation with somebody, And he just threw it out there and said, "Yeah, I got that subsidy check yesterday. It was over $250,000.
Mm.
Going down to buy me another dually. Exactly what you said. Going down there to buy me a brand new dually.
Wow.
It's like, dude, how do you? It's like, well, they just pay us not to farm all our land.
Well,
They
and
pay
John,
us not to farm all of our land.
and John, what I'm getting at is that why is it good for one and not the other? If it's good for one, then it should, and that's why I'm saying I think farmers should have the right to receive a subsidy, just like I feel like an individual that can't go out and find the appropriate things that they need to get a start or get a chance. They deserve the same option. Now, if either one of those options, if they we're going to use red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
If the red is right, I'm with it. If the blue is right, I'm with it. If the red is wrong, I'm against that. If the blue is wrong, so it's not about color. It just so happened that America is focused on color versus what the actuality is, which is we deal with perception. Everybody else deal with reality, and that's why Riggins, that this guy that's on tonight, that's spewing probably a lot of lies now. He can get you to accept what the perception is because of being a charlatan and a Benedict Arnold versus giving you what the reality is, and we won't go and search what the reality is. I'm gonna yield to you, Riggins, then I'll go to Ron and John.
I'm gonna say what John was talking about. How many black farmers was getting $250 million or whatever, $250,000? I'm sorry.
Not many,
See,
because they just
right,
filed a
right.
lawsuit last year.
We have to take right. We don't have to take it to Section 8 housing versus farmers. Let's go farmers versus farmers.
Mm.
Right,
Right.
See,
right.
Exactly.
Mm.
And Riggins,
right, right.
that's the reality, but we're dealing with the perception.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. The black farmer not getting that $250,000. You
Mm-mm.
know, he not getting. He probably got 25,000.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting 25,000, he probably got 25,000 for the
And
same
I
amount of
just
land. Oh,
Yeah. If
go
I'm not
ahead.
mistaken, they just got their lawsuit kicked out. The Black
Mm-hmm.
Farmers Association just got their lawsuit kicked out for discrimination of the way subsidies had been doled out,
Mm.
and it'd been going on for 4, 5, 6 years. So it was more than
Yeah,
through one administration. It ran from uh, this guy that's in there now, his first one, through Biden, and now just getting kicked out. Well, you know it's going to get kicked out now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a snowball's chance in Haiti that it's going to go through. He's got
well,
the courts where he wants it.
John, I'm proud to say that one of my hometown, I won't call it gender, but they are one of the lead attorneys on the Black Farmers lawsuit.
And you know what, Glass? It's
Mm,
been going on, and I'm gonna say it loud, so everybody can hear. It was going on when Obama was in office too,
sure.
yeah,
and they were still struggling trying to get that thing through. If you didn't want to accomplish, if you wanted to accomplish anything, that would have been one of the things I would have put at the forefront. Because it seems like, and I see you, Glass, because it seems like when they got something that they want to put out there, they get on stage and start signing documents. That's what you have to do. You have to implement your actions. You don't have to start big, but if you would just touch that one little bitty subject, because black farmers wasn't getting no subsidy at one time,
Hey,
none.
Ron, I hear you, and I know Riggins want to come in. So rather than me coming in, I'm gonna yield to Riggins. Come on in.
no, I know what he's trying to say. He's saying that Obama should have had his eye on the ball if he had his eye on healthcare and other things. He should have his eye on that. And what I say is this, and that's one every time Glass say, Riggins, why don't you get into politics? We want to get into politics. One of the reasons why I push back, two reasons why I push back, because I believe that first of all, my pastoral ministry would probably be jeopardized because you got to do a whole lot of stuff that's willing and dealing that I don't like willing and dealing. But second part of it is once you're on that hot seat like that, you got to know how to diversify. Okay, but you got to know how to diversify. As soon as you see something on the radar that says, "Look, black farmers, hey, go after it." It's not going. In other words, what you think will cost you votes not going to cost you votes. If a man can sit up there and sing and look like a fool for 45 minutes, call people from Puerto Rico trash, have 37 felonies for playing with a porn star, have 25 rape accusations. The man even say that you raped E.G. Carroll, have a 500 million lawsuit, and still win president. The stuff that people be running from, they shouldn't run from. Obama shouldn't have ran from that. I don't want to look like I was trying to favor the black. That's what Ron getting at. I have to say with it. I don't look like I'm trying to favor. I'm trying to be even-handed. No, sometimes you got to favor your own because they're gonna favor their own. They're gonna
And
favor
we
their
just
own
figured
because
that
that's
out,
what they
Glass.
favor.
We just
But
figured that out during this last election. That
but see, Ron, I'm gonna have to give a little pushback on that. See, what we are failing to realize is this: is by Obama being the first one of his kind, is certain things that he could not do that all of these other 43 or 44 could do. So again, let's look at the cause and effect. Let's look at how this nation was built. There are certain things that Reagan can't do. There are certain things that Ron can't do. There are certain things that John can't do that somebody else can do and they can get away with it. So in Obama's defense,
Mm-hmm.
I think by him being president, just like if it was Reagan's, John, or you, I think you go in and you do what you feel that's best needed at that point in time, and I respect that. But I'm not gonna see. We always putting too much weight on people that look like us, but we don't put it on other people.
Correct.
We don't give them the same hurdles and obstacles and barriers. Man, that man can't go in there and do everything that we wanted him to do.
Yeah, that's true.
go ahead, John.
That's why I
I'm
said.
a,
Oh
I,
no.
That's why I
I'm gonna
said
yield because I really want to get in this.
Yeah, Ron,
Go.
and I said
Go.
that for you to get in. So
I know
we
you
may have
did
to,
Go.
because I saw you looking at me through the screen.
yeah.
You just wanted to get me fired up on this.
But what I'm saying
I feel like this, Glass.
go ahead.
I really feel like this. I mean, you're black, you're in office.
Mm-hmm.
You did get health care through. You got it through where the next president couldn't even do nothing
And we
about
even
it.
celebrate
I give him his credit. But then I have to ask, and I know it's going to piss people off, what did you do for your own? That's the only question I ask. And I know Pastor
But
Rick is going to
hey,
jump in.
no, but Ron, I will say this: when you look proportionally at how much of it gets sick, proportionally, 12% to 15% of the population, but we're the ones who die from cancer the most, heart disease the most, diabetes the most, all those different things. So the Obamacare really helped the African American community more than anything else. Even
I
though
agree.
Ted Cruz and fight against it, and his wife was using it, even though the congressmen and stuff come out, they want to repeal it, but they're using it. Down in the level, you go down Third Ward, you go down anywhere in the neighborhood, you'll see the sign that says Obamacare, American, whatever the real name of the
Affordable
Healthcare Act.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And you have it to February the 15th, whatever. So to be honest, that was his way of helping us too. I have to be honest with it because we the ones that, man, my dad was in Indiana, so man, man. You look all down, yeah, they got a lot of white people there because of the fact that they're more proportional, but proportionally speaking, is a lot of white who sick. We don't do the preventive care. Man, look at all the diabetes and high blood pressure and strokes and all the different stuff that we deal with. So the Obamacare was what he gave that helped us. If that's what if he had to put all, if that's the one basket to put his eggs in, he did a pretty good job.
I
Well,
agree.
It's
well,
just,
Ricky,
I agree.
he did something that no other president was able to do.
yes,
So, but we don't
right,
celebrate that. Ron, this ain't to you
right.
because we going toe to toe. But the vast majority of people, Ricky, again, if Ron, John, and Riggins is the CEO of Apple, ain't nowhere in West Hell you're gonna be able to go out there and hire your whole community. They gonna get rid of you. So, but Tim Cook can go out and hire his whole community because what? He's capable of doing that. So the burdens that, and I can say this, the burdens that somebody else have on the left, this person on the right don't have.
Absolutely.
Let me say something.
I'm not going to cook. I'm going to go ahead, Pastor Riggins.
The fact that he did what he did is why we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now.
Exactly.
In
I add to
2011,
that, Pastor Riggins. I want to add to that. You notice that when he came into office, he didn't have no executive orders about getting rid of Obamacare.
right?
That wasn't on his agenda.
Hey,
No. I'm going back to 2011. He jumped up there, and the first thing that you should have seen, he was at that White House dinner where Obama was making jokes about Trump, and Trump was sitting out in the audience, ready to pull the trigger on what? On birther. Immediately with the birther for the 2012 election. This man born in Kenya. This man born in Kenya. I know he's born in Kenya. He's not born in Hawaii. That was the first lie he started telling. And then he started saying, we want our country back. We want our country back. And then he turned into make America great again. The fact that he even did anything, the fact that he was even elected, is what has turned us into what the Tea Party, the first thing came out of it, 2010. After the Tea Party, it turned into we want our country back. Then it turned to MAGA. That is based on the fact that there should have never been a black president. And let me put it this way: a true African American. His dad is from Africa. His mom was from America. Let me say it again: a true African American. His dad is from Africa. His mom was from America. They said we should have never let that N word be the president of the United States. And the full pushback, the full blast of it is an Africana. An Africana. Going back to what Ron said, they came over to America, took the land, and Africana went from Germany to South Africa to take their land with apartheid. Born out of that whole system is Elon Musk. That's now in the United States using the same principles that they did in South Africa, sitting up in the White House and never be elected, but running the country on those same principles. That's because Africa from Kenya had a son with a woman from Kansas that lived in Hawaii. And that's what we're dealing with. I'm being honest.
Well, John, come on in.
Glass, I couldn't hardly stay in my seat. When you started talking about Obama's accomplishments, it's that underbelly of we got quite a few more opportunities. We had access to a little bit more. And whatever it was we got, like you're saying, Pastor, they saw it, couldn't stand it, but they were laying low and plotting. All of this, we got to get rid of DEI. That's where it came from. Anything, and it goes all the way back to Obama. All of whatever he did, they want to unravel it. And they're using the guys of DEI and woke as their hammer to get it done. It's a shame, and they want to say it's a left and a right thing, a blue and a red thing. But I will always say, you can say anything that happens in this country, and I can always pin it back to some white folk stuff.
Let me just say this, John.
I don't use that term white folk stuff, but it has the same initials.
John, I give him credit for one thing. He had more black people in the White House playing music than ever before. I think that if you go back in history and research it, it was more blacks in there that got an opportunity to play music in the White House than in any other time. I'm sure it was some ghosts walking down the hall. They didn't know where they was. He let people sleep in their beds. He invited them in, let them stay in the White House. He did all of that. I give him credit. I can't take away from that because every time I seen him and Michelle up there cutting the two-step, I was right in there with him because it was my type of music. So I can say, yeah, he did that. I agree with you, Pastor Riggins. Obamacare did help a lot of blacks, but it helped a lot of them hillbillies in the mountain too.
But
it helped a lot of them in the Ozarks because it's more them than it is us. Like you said, they add up too, but they don't know what's good for them and what's bad for them. The only thing they want to see is Trump on it, and then they all in on it, but they don't realize that they lose a lot when they get involved with this guy. But they got the mentality that if he got the money, I got the money. He ain't starving when you go to McDonald's and eat. Trump going to McDonald's. He's sending people to McDonald's to get his hamburgers. But they don't see it like that. So anyway, Glass, I know we're coming up on the hour, and I see you looking off. You're probably getting ready to order your thing, but I beat you tonight. I got my own before I came on the show. So Glass, go ahead and get us there.
No, Ron. I think it's a healthy conversation, and again, we're just talking about things that we feel are more important, things that we feel that can be shed some light on. Topics that other people don't talk about. Again, nobody here is saying that they are absolutely right or absolutely wrong. We all are sharing what we think could happen or should happen. And that's what everybody else should be. That's how you get actively engaged, involved in what's going on now. Again, I'm not going to be told a lie when I know that it's raining right here. Again, I have seen too many times in too many years that black folk put too much pressure on black folk, and we have the expectation that when they get elected that they can go in and do everything under the sun. It don't work that way.
Absolutely.
Okay? But when Mr. Joe over here gets elected, hell, we won't even go to the meetings. We won't even get involved. We won't even say what we feel need to happen. But we'll sit back and complain. And then when you have somebody that look like us that decide to go out and run, well, you ain't gonna get nothing done. Well, hell, you ain't gonna get nothing done because you won't even support them. So I try to bring stuff closer to home. Okay, if you're gonna complain, you ought to have your ass involved in what you complain about. I've seen people run Riggins that have issues. You lead them to the water that's going to solve the issue. Guess what? They don't even show up. We got to call a date, set up this meeting for this person who been complaining about a meeting. Well, I've been trying to get in contact. Finally, she got in contact with me. Set up the meeting. Did everything that needed to be done. 2 weeks later, Mr. Trill. 2 weeks later, lady still ain't went to where she's supposed to go. Still have not done what she needed to do. But you sitting here complaining about this, that, and the other, but you won't even do. So that's why I don't listen to all this stuff no more. Hey, you can do what you're going to do over there. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to do what I feel is necessary. I don't need you. I don't need to follow nobody. I can lead myself off the cliff. And I'm speaking solely for me. Again, I think we put too much pressure on people that look like us, but we won't even get out and support them when they're in the trenches fighting. But you want to put this pressure on them and say, well, he could have done this. She should have done it. They saying that Kamala Harris, Riggins, was not qualified. More qualified than anybody else who had run for office. Was served in all three branches of government. Graduated with honors. Got a law degree. And this man right here, man, let me leave it alone. I'm going to yield to somebody.
So Glass, I'm gonna cover that for you a little bit. So you sitting in a barbershop and beauty shop, y'all about to tear each other up, about to go at each other about something that you heard on TV or during this election process. You about to just get at each other. Somebody needs to stand up in that barbershop and ask you, did either one of y'all vote?
That's the question.
That's it.
That's the question.
Did either one of y'all vote? And I guarantee you most of them say, no, well, man, I didn't vote because I didn't feel like my vote counted. I didn't vote because of this. But now those same people are complaining, but you didn't get your ass out and vote. I'm going to say it like Mr. Steele.
They allowed it.
You didn't get your ass out and vote.
They the loudest ones.
And Ron, to date, he's the only one that has put out a message that people need to get involved, whether he's Republican or whatever. He's the only message that's out there. I heard Tim Walsh say something earlier that, like he said, Reagan, hey, if they don't want to go to the town hall meeting, he said he's willing to go to the town hall meeting to explain why it's better to look at this versus that. I'm going to yield to you, John and Rick.
Pastor, I'm going to say just one thing. You said something earlier, kind of back to that Section 8 thing, what Harris had plans for to help, and it would have helped everybody, but it sure would have been a big push and a bonus for us as a people. Home ownership, $20,000 first time homeowners. We're going to make that mandate. Now, I'm a young person, just starting out, I'm hearing that. That's enough for me. If you're doing that, because hey, try to go out and save $20,000 with your first job coming out of anywhere.
But
It's gonna
John,
take you a minute.
I'm yielding. I got to yield on that one.
even had she done that, somebody else would have been complaining that she didn't do enough. That's my point.
Eh, They were
My thing
complaining that
is,
you
my
couldn't
thing
do it.
is, John. My thing is this. She said all of that. I mean, she said it plain and clear. She put a message out there.
Hmm.
We knew what the outcome was if we didn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it.
Here's the here's,
And,
here's the
and
problem.
nobody took, but now everybody wants to complain.
But
You
that's
know
the
what I tell them?
problem.
We got 4 more years. How many more months we got to go through this? We gonna deal with it. Maybe next time
Here's,
you'll
here's
get out and you'll do something about it. Maybe next time you'll take Puka to the election place. Maybe next time you would take Sandra, BB, and all the rest of them to the election place. Hey, can you vote? Let's go down here. Let's get in the car. Let's go down here and vote. I'm
Can
not
I just
saying
say
that I
this?
agree with Kamala Harris on everything, but
I agree.
damn it, don't complain with what's going on now if you didn't get out and vote.
The biggest
let
problem,
me say
and I'm
something.
never going to say anything about election again. The biggest crutch I see that we use as a people, as far as voting, I ain't gonna worry about voting. Ain't none of that's gonna help me. It's not gonna touch me personally. Wrong answer. Wrong answer.
Oh,
There ain't nothing that
yeah,
these people you do or don't vote for that get put in office. It will touch you. You may not see it, but it will touch you. You just ain't sharp enough to see it. But it does touch each and every one of us. And that's what makes me sick. When I learned that, you just couldn't tell me about not voting. No, no, no. I know where our interests lie, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what we got to push for. I ain't got time to vote for nobody, man. They ain't gonna help me. Okay, but they sure can take from you when you don't go vote, can't they?
I'm
Two.
gonna say two things on this. First of all, in the two-party system, some of the blame is at Biden's feet when he lied and said he was only running one term. There's no one is ever able to win an election in 90 days. If he'd allowed the primary process to go forth, if Harris would have came out on top, if the guy from Arizona would have came out on top, or the guy from Philadelphia came out on top, we'd have had a full primary so people could see, not in 90 days, or what our options were. That's one thing. Number two, I do believe the election was stolen, but it's going to be proven over the next few years. But the way you overwhelm that is, you overwhelm the box so much until the stealing can't happen. You put some people get Pook in there, like you say, get Ray Ray, get Shanae, until it's so many of them in there, you can't steal the vote. And the third thing I'm gonna say is, how many people really watch our podcast on YouTube? How many people really watch this? How many people really doing stuff like this? How effective are we? But we got to at least keep doing it till the masses be able to see it. Because we say, hey, why y'all doing that? How many people really watching it? Do y'all really have people watching? The point of it is that if we keep doing it, the masses will see it, and then the voices. Because this is what I believe, spiritually speaking. Now, when the word is put out in the atmosphere, when the word is put out in the world, and if it's true, it shall not return void. It shall accomplish the things it's sent to do. So somebody's going to hear it. Maybe not at our level. Somebody at another level. We might be just planting the seed. Somebody else may water it, but increase is coming at some point. Well, the masses can get together and start making an impact on it. All we need is enough people to affect two or three congressmen that say, listen, they're pushing enough for the impeachment. Two or three, 10 senators, or how many senators we need to say, okay, we got to not only impeach, but put him out. So we can't be discouraged. We got to keep on being motivated and have courage. What I say.
I agree with you, Pastor. I think that we can't be discouraged. We can't discourage people from doing anything, but still, we got to get more people out to vote. We got to do it. And if we don't change that vote, if we don't change that voting system, we're gonna be left out. Cause Trump is, trust me, just like they got the Congress and the Senate. Now they're gonna start working on local elections next,
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna
you're
start
right.
stacking them against us. And by the time we catch up from here, we're gonna be too far down the road. And the gentleman told me that he made a comment and he said, y'all let that man get away with everything. Y'all never talk about what he does. No, we don't. Here's what we do. We try to talk about stuff that matters. And if you want to hear his name called out every other word on out of our mouth, you might as well go to mainstream media because they doing it out there. I mean, every other subject is on this man, but they don't understand that they giving him the power in the media to do whatever he wants to do, because I guarantee you it was more people listening to his thing tonight than it was us. And I didn't go with I can't say I supported everything that Kamala Harris was doing, but it would have been a lot better than what we have here. I voted for Kamala because I knew what was on the horizon, and I yield to anybody else that's out there.
But see, Ron, that's another misconception. There's no candidate that has ever run that we have agreed with 100%. Absolutely not possible. Okay, so that's not even a part of the equation. The fact is that you had two obvious candidates. One who's going to save what you've gained, and one who's going to get rid of what you've gained. It's just that simple. One who don't give a damn about you but care about everything. It's no comparison. Unless a person wanted to just make an excuse. Well, let me just leave that alone. What I'll say is, Riggins, I think you'll co-sign that. At this point, and at this junction, I don't care what somebody else do. I just know what I'm gonna do. And as long as I'm living and I got breath and air to breathe, I'm gonna be a drum major for justice, not just for black people, but for all people. I don't mind helping anybody, no matter where they come from. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I stand on that. And if I was in the United States Senate, in House of Representatives, in Obama, or Harris, or Biden, or Clinton, they was doing all this bull jump, I'm not going with it because I got to be able to come home at night and go to sleep. I don't care about all that other stuff. If we need people that's got a good heart, that's got a good conscious mind, that's willing to do what Jesus tells us to do, whenever you're faced with two wrongs, you don't choose neither.
Okay.
We didn't have two wrongs in this deal. I'm gonna say that. We didn't have two wrongs.
Tell the
You
truth.
could even say there was, if you wanted to go that route, there was maybe one wrong, but there was one even more wrong than that one. And some way, somehow, that's the one that people decided needed to be there. I can't believe it.
Hey, Trill, I know Ron wanted to get off.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No, not that. I know you wanted to get off on Roland Martin. But Ron, I'm receiving texts from people that's sending me the State of the Union, the state of our union, and all this other stuff. Man, you know, I'm tired of listening to that. I'm tired of looking at the same people saying the same thing, trying to mobilize the same people. It ain't working. We need new voices. And I'm not saying that we're the voice. What I am saying is that the voices that we're listening to, ain't nobody hearing that.
We've been on this radio for how long, Glass?
Say something.
Go ahead, Pastor Riggins, and then I'm gonna come in.
Roland Martin, Don Lemon, even Joy Reid, how they done it wrong. Those people, once they begin to make money,
Say it.
we're not getting paid to do what we do. Once they start making money as a living, they use it as a living. It's like if I quit teaching, quit preaching and pastoring, and I want to get on a TV show like this and we do this stuff, and now we got to make a living off of this. It becomes a point where I got to make a living so I can say all kind of stuff. I can eat around the edges. I can stir up the pot and everything. But really, long as I saw Roland Martin the other day, he had a whole handful of envelopes. Somebody, I got $2,000 to the mail. I'm getting paid. Heck, you should be doing this where you don't get paid. I know you got to make a living, but you tied your living to this. So now you're going to be compromised.
Church, passing that offering plate. False leaders passing that offering plate. You know, if you get me fired up, I'm sorry.
As a Bible pastor, as a Bible pastor, nobody can tell me what to preach because I'm not living off of what I'm preaching.
Come on, Riggins.
Now they're
Say
going
it.
into the Lord. The people going to give according to what God wants them to give. I have a salary coming out of it because it's going to bless them. But I make a living since I've been teaching since 1998. If I got to reduce my lifestyle, my budget, because you don't pay me, because I organized for 20 years, which I would have what I was making from a teacher just to be a preacher. And
Hey,
now
hey,
on the back end of it, now you get a salary, but you ain't making, you have to control what's coming out of my mouth because I'm getting paid.
hey,
So when I
Riggins.
preach on Sunday, gospel of Jesus Christ, I come in here on Tuesday, I'm a preach to the community about get away from Trump. And
Hey, hey,
nobody can stop it. I'm not getting paid to do that.
hey, John, I'm excited now because John, Ron, that comment right there on Facebook. This guy is one of the most brilliant guys that you can ever come across. He's a good friend of mine from Lake Charles, Louisiana. And if you look at what he's saying, he said that in all fairness, I don't think people are truly understanding how much Obama was limited, which is what I said about the Tea Party and Moscow Mix. Now, I've been trying to bring Brother Summers on. When I say brilliant, I'm talking about Cornel West type. I'm talking about Michael Eric Dyson type. I'm talking about W.E.B. Du Bois. Some of the other guys. This guy is brilliant. So that proves that people are listening. I ain't worried about whether they listen or not. Because here's the deal. Somewhere down the line, if that old motor is running through the neighborhood and it's got loud pipes, somebody going to be out there listening, Rick. And we ain't worried about who they are. We just know they're going to listen. What the good book tells us that our planet, polished water, in it for me, Rick.
God gave the increase.
That's all.
God.
That's my pay right there.
That's what we're about, and that's one of the things. Glass, I started getting. Trump must have said something wild on his thing because people started texting me in the background.
I don't want to see that.
If I wanted to pay attention to what was going over there, I could turn on the TV. I got TV right behind me. I don't want to hear what he's saying. I don't want to know what he's doing. But I'm gonna hear it tomorrow. If he's saying it now, I could go over to Roland Martin them. They probably got everything jammed up. He was saying he wanted 100,000 people. I just want people that's gonna make a difference. That's all we want. People to hear 4 different people from different areas. Mr. Summers just came in and made his comment. So it's stuff that's going on. You don't have to go over there. You don't have to go over there. I mean, look at this one. This is probably another one. Glass. It's got Louisiana on the end, so I'm gonna let Glass comment on this one.
That's Melanie. That's going to be our guest next week. It's happening now, March 29th. Our power is on the ballot right here in Louisiana. That's who we're bringing on next week. Pastor Riggins, I just got a news alert. It's done. It's gone. Ontario Premier Doug Ford cancels $100 million Starlink contract with Elon Musk in response to Trump tariff. So what we're saying right here, Ron, somebody's listening. We're not trying to motivate somebody. We're just trying to enlighten them and give them a little understanding, get them involved. Because here's the deal. If you encourage a coward, eventually, we're going to get up and swing. Okay, so what we're doing is trying to encourage those who got messages, who got voices. But Pastor, all they need is just somebody to push them. That's what I feel my job, because I ain't trying to lead nobody. I'm trying to lead myself. Okay, but at the end of the day, I can tell you this, Riggins. No matter what he do, homeboy, I'm going to go to work every day like I've been going. I'm going to still serve the people that I'm supposed to serve. I'm going to still help those who don't even want me to help. But at the end of the day, when the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, Two Gents is broadcasting live. It's 9:07 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are willing to tackle any topic, any subject. You're welcome to come in. You're welcome to say whatever you want. I see that old smirk on A.F. Riggins. I know he got something he want to say.
Hey,
so
Glass. Before you get up, before you go away, what does that say in the middle of the screen?
You get a voice here. Make a comment, and we will bring you into the show. Two Gents. Join us for our next show, March 11, 2025, at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I know A.F. Riggins is going to enjoy this because it used to be on the Smoking Glass Hour with real people, real life, real answer. I was questioning him. Now he's going to be able to sit in that seat and question the guest that comes on. And I know that he's going to be able to do exactly what it is that he needs to do, which is ask some questions that are valid. Ron, I don't think an hour and a half is long enough. We may have to start going, a 2-hour broadcast. But at the end of the day, I think we've done enough. You don't want to be repetitive. And like the pastor may say, you don't want to keep preaching. Ain't nobody listen to you. You definitely don't want to go to sleep. So for those who may wanted to watch tonight on television, hey, look, I don't have no problem with that. If you don't never want to watch us, I don't have no problem with that. But I can tell you this, Pastor, if it's just one listener, even if it ain't nobody listening, we're still going to be doing this each and every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, as long as good Lord say the same.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pass it to you, Pastor Riggins. John, go next, and then we're going to pass it back to you, Pastor, to close us out, because we're not like them. We like to end on a positive note. So let's do this. I'm going to say what I'm going to say now, and then I'm going to leave it. Hey, Pastor Riggins, hold on. I'm going to leave the last part with you, okay? If you don't mind. John, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Glass, no, we've had conversations on Facebook in private for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Just listening to, and I've known Glass for a minute, but just listening to him, and I've always known he cared. It's just when you hear somebody that's like, okay, this guy, he's putting in the effort. He sees what's happening. He's not happy about it. He's got a voice. Let's find it. He basically is the reason why I'm here. Another voice.
Say it.
Another voice, because I would have kept what I say and thought about any of this. I'd have been yelling at the people in my house, telling them about it. But that's as far as it would have gone. Thank you, Glass.
And you probably got PTSD, so we don't want you getting mad at them. Put it out on the air. But anyway, I'm going to jump in here right quick. I want to say that this is an opportunity for everybody to come in and have a voice. When we did this about 10 years ago, it was the same thing then. We gave you a voice. You can go to Roland Martin. I don't have no complaints about it. But you're not going to get a chance to say anything. And if you make a comment, it's going to go through that big long board. And they ain't going to highlight it. We're going to highlight it here. If you want a voice, and if you want a place where you can be heard, we'll sit here and talk about what you bring into the show. We try to come up with a topic, but if your topic's a little bit better than ours, we gonna digest that too. So I'm gonna say we were supposed to be going an hour. We went to an hour and a half. We're coming up on 2 hours. So I'm Pastor Riggins. It's all yours. And Glass, you can't do it. I have to do it. So Pastor Riggins, do it.
I always enjoy dialoguing, conversating, and motivating with you guys. Like I said, we did it back in the day, Smoking Glass Hour, Real People, Real Life, Real Answers. And now we have Trump 2.0. We have two gents and a mic. A podcast. This is us 2.0. The Bible says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin reproach any people. Let me say it again, because I talk fast. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is reproach to any people. And he's not talking about personal sins in this scripture right here. He's not talking about the issues we're trying to get delivered from, and we've all sinned and all have our problems. He's talking about the sins of a nation. America is not a Christian nation. America is not a Christian nation. America is a religious nation that's full of Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, and a whole lot of sinners. But they want to pose as a Christian nation and be hypocritical in the process and use their religion to try to subject people. They use religion to take the Native American land. They use religion to say African Americans were second class. Now they try to use religion to think that God favors America versus Canada, Mexico, and everybody but Russia. But the sin is reproach to any people. And so I was saying tonight that we got to have the clearing call. The prophetic message is not just from the pulpit about getting saved from your sins, but the prophetic message is what can we do to save our people in this country? Because the only Christian nation is God's kingdom that includes people from every nation, every kindred, and every tongue. And I close with that. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to dialogue with my brothers tonight, to be able to address the issue, the tact, Lord God, what's going on, and not only talk about the problems, but to talk about solutions. I think our opportunity to motivate someone to plant a seed, to water, and watch you do the increase. And Lord, we call out against every evil spirit, that spirit of greed, the love of money is the root of all evil, the spirit of hate, racism, inequality, and indifferences. And we call on the justice, the power, the anointing of God, not just to move about us being born again to go to heaven, but about saving our communities and saving our people. As someone in section housing can move up to another situation. There's someone that's been subsidized as a farmer can come out of that too. There's
Come on.
someone, Lord God, that's less, Lord God, been treated less than what they should be. To be able to break forth and be able to have the freedom and have what belongs to them. We need more than 4 acres of mule now, Father. We need the favor of God to move in our lives. And I
Amen.
speak blessings to those in the sound of our voice. And I speak, Lord God, that you, Lord God, give us the victory we need. Do not be afraid, but have courage and move forth. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. My man, A.F. Ricketts. Come on, Ron.
I, I, I. Nobody mentioned it, but I had to pull out my hat tonight since nobody mentioned it. I'll mention it at the end of the show.
Abrams 2022.
I love it.
All right, y'all. We enjoyed this, and Pastor Riggison closes out. We're not gonna hold y'all any longer, but I will say this: for you few people that decided that y'all got tired of listening to Trump and then elected to chose to come into us, I appreciate you. I appreciate you because he must have not been saying what you want to hear. You got mad and said, "Well, I'm gonna go over there and listen to what them guys saying." I appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We're out of here. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
Nice,
Good night,
gentlemen.
everybody. Peace
Nice.
out, Glass.
Good night.